still talking about the arrest of the Ansaru terror group, which was announced by the NSA over the weekend. Second guest this morning is Mr. Adesumbo Badejoko, a social commentator. Thank you very much for coming this morning. And it's always a pleasure to have you seated there in our studio. Talking about security, and of course, we've been having security challenges for quite a number of years now. And, the SND coming out over the weekend to talk about arresting 2 leaders of these terror groups. What do you make of this development and the arrest?
What we say is we welcome it as a welcome development. When you make arrests, it gives an opportunity to get some intelligence from the criminal, the suspect that has been arrested, especially high-profile ones like these 2 that were just taken in. And whatsoever they now do with the intel, because it is obvious these guys are not alone. They have strong backing from people within and outside the country. And being in the echelon of the terror group, they would be in a position to provide the adequate information needed to get those who are actually sponsoring. Because until we get those ones, you understand, we will not be able to cut the source of supply to put an end to this problem, because it has become a menace and it's becoming embarrassing. It's affecting everything that we're doing. Food production is not increasing, yet our population keeps growing. And these are things that we need to address if we want to step up our food production. Investors are afraid because the country seems not to be safe. So we need to put an end to this so that investor confidence will be there for them to come into the country and the economy will grow. So it goes beyond just killing. It's something that is affecting the entire nation. And the sponsors, whatever is their reason, is just not tenable. You cannot wage war against your country for whatever reason. You cannot collaborate with international sponsors of terrorist organizations globally. And that's an outright treason. I am waiting to see what the government will do with these guys.
Let's also look at this way. Now that these guys have been arrested, do you anticipate any retaliatory attack from their group again?
Well, if they are the arrowhead, there will be confusion in the group. Once the head is cut off, the body, the group becomes disintegrated. And these are, I think, number 1 and 2. That particular Ansaru group is supposed to be without leadership. What usually happens? The sponsor may look at the next in line and support that one to now lead on. Or the other rival, the other groups may decide to now go into their camp and recruit as much as they can from the same group, since they are in the same business of terrorism. So these are possibilities. It is from when they now get to the new group that they can be thinking of attack. But I think the government would have instilled some fear in them because they are not really relaxing. They really want to put an end to this thing, at least reduce it to a bearable minimum. That's what I think would happen.
All right, Mr. Badejoko, before we go on, we have a commercial break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Kivo Krima. Kivo Krima.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Start your day and have a good time. Kivo Krima. Where you need to have the break time. Kivo Krima. Kivo Krima.
Some say learning. I see how. Vita. Bon Vita. Prepare them to win every day.
Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Easy to open, easy to squeeze, easy to scoop and easy to stir. Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up.
I'm in love. No, with you, of course, my darling.
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Still talking about the arrest of the anti-terror group leaders. Mr. Badejoko, before we went on that break, we were talking about, I think, the government's response to this and, you know, how we can better the security lot of the country.
I was saying that there may not be any reprisal. Even if that would happen, they have to go back to the drawing board. And of course, the group would have been affected because the leadership had gone. If they don't have a strong nesting line, those sponsors would not be able to. And if the nesting line happens to be a mole working for the government, it could just call for surrender and they would.
But how should the government make sure at this point that, of course, you know, these leaders have two ICs and other people who are working with them or working for them? How should the government begin to ensure right now that they do not come up, you know, or people coming up to take over from where the leaders left?
They need to, first of all, question these ones they've arrested very well. Once they're able to do that, then they get the necessary information as regards to their mode of operation, the sponsorship they have, and of course the series of attacks they have outlined to carry out. So once they get those ones, they can go after the sponsors, then prevent those attacks from taking place. And of course, have enough information to round up the group. They will know where their base are or the bases, because this guy seems to be migrating from one spot to another. And that is what the advantage of the arrest is. When you just kill, you know, they've been killing and killing, and they've actually killed so many of them. But new leadership kept emerging, and we don't really know. So arresting them now would give the government the opportunity to get information that I said earlier, and that is what the government should be focusing on. But whatever they get should be hacked on. Even if it's the president that is named by this guy, they have to act on it. Because if you look at the profile of a person being too powerful, there shouldn't be anybody too powerful or be above the law. That is part of the reason why this problem has festered over the years. We allow some people to get away with crimes and, of course, empower those with similar tendencies to carry out their own too. And now it has become a norm.
Now let's begin to look at the difference between these groups, the Ansaru group, the ISWAP, and as well as the Boko Haram group. What are the main differences? I mean,
the only difference I see is just their names. They carry out terrorism. They operate similar way. They kidnap, they collect ransoms, they kill people, they maim, attack villages, dislodge local settlers. That is what they all do in their different domains. And one thing is giving them advantage. You know, we have, in the name of national park, ungoverned territories. Some are as big as a region. Odoyo National Park, that is closest to us, for instance, is as big as the entire southeast region. Sambisa Forest is also similar. There's another one in between Kaduna and Zamfara. That is where the hub for those, the so-called bandits, which is now codenamed Ansaru, are based. And you see them migrating because these are territories that are not governed. Thank God the government said they want to now recruit rangers because we are supposed to have them in those places before now. But how fast are they recruiting? How well have they been trained and mobilized? That is a question that the government will have to answer because it goes beyond rhetoric of just mentioning it on here, and then paperwork will take like 6 months again. Meanwhile, these guys carry it out every day.
Now, these ungoverned territories, what do you think government can do, to these territories?
You secure them.
How?
By putting personnel there that would be doing the ground surveillance.
You said
by deploying technologies.
You said it's a large scale of...
Of course, it is large, but it's mapped. It has clear-cut territory. J4 Forest is also within our domain here. J4 has bordering 4 states: Ogun, Osun, Ondo, and Oyo State are all in J4. You can imagine how big it is. That was where those that were kidnapping along Ijebu, they were operating before. But now, they've stationed some military posts at the places close to that road where they are operating. And that seems to have helped. But they need to recruit personnel that will go in there. We need to deploy technology like drones that will do the area surveillance. Then you put the station not too far. You take pictures, images, any suspicious movements you see within those territories. You raise alarm, and then you can now deploy personnel that would go in there and round them up, because if they are reserved, it means no illegal activity is supposed to take place in those places. Meaning that it is not supposed to be residence or habitation for any human being, apart from those who are the rangers that are securing the environment. And they will have their own posts strategically located somewhere within those reserve or national parks. We need to really do something. We can't just say, of course, we need parks. We need gray areas, especially in the area of global warming. We need those places to be kept untouched. We don't have to just cut out those forests and all those things because of global warming. It's part of the reason why they were set aside in the first place. But you don't just put it there unmanned, catered for, and you allow some other people to now be doing all manner of things in there.
Now, looking at this latest arrest, what will you say about the intelligence gathering of military personnel?
They've always had intels. The problem is, for instance, when the Yewata incident happened, there was intel. 48 hours to the incident. It wasn't just acted upon. So there's always been intel. It means they acted upon this one, and that's why they were able to make the arrest. But there's this conspiracy there going on between the military echelon, between the leadership up north and those areas where those things are actually trending. And until we do something about that, the government really need to come out straight. And of course, the absence of state policing is also not helping, because the governor is the commander, the chief executive officer of the state, has no power over the security apparatus within the state. Those ones answer to the people in Abuja, who often play politics with all of these things. You understand? Maybe those they have identified to be behind it are children or loyal disciples of some people that they are trying to lobby politically. So they seem to look the other way or play lip service with it. So these are reasons why those things have been trending. You understand? And that's why when some people go critical, something will happen. For instance, we've had 2 service chiefs who have died mysteriously because they seem to not cooperate with the powers that be, seemingly. You understand?
That's your own conclusion.
That is the obvious thing. It's not just about my own personal conclusion. When you are observant about things, some things don't just happen. Especially when they now occur and it appears mysterious. Then you have questions. And when those questions are posed and you are not getting convincing answers or responses, then you know that is what has happened. How come there are no investigations? For instance, let's just leave Lagbaja alone, Atairu that died before him. That is an incident that ought to have been investigated properly, and of course findings published for people to know what actually happened. How can the aircraft of the chief of army staff just dropped? And then Eyewitness around said he saw 2 parachuters come out of that same aircraft before the crash. But the military did what? They covered the whole thing, and nobody's saying anything. That girl from Kogi State, Tolulope, was one of the 2 Augusta helicopter pilots that we have. We spend money to train them, spend money to buy the Augusta, and somehow she was doing her job. But what happened within the barrage? Somebody was driving, does that make sense? Does it even add up? And they expect Nigerians to believe all of that. And since our death, nobody is driving the Augusta again. So when you look at all of these things happening, you know there is huge conspiracy. And until we begin to speak to those things, to really make them know that, some people are noticing what we are doing, perhaps that will change their mind. But the thing is, what to what end? If you have been making money, then what you have made over the past 15 years should be enough for you to now say, okay, yes, we've made enough, let's put an end to this thing. But it's just not going away. They'll come up with all manner of excuses. When has Libyan crisis taking place? That we still talk about, they come from Libya, they are, okay, if they come from Libya and our borders are so porous, what have you done about it?
Now, those leaders have been arrested. Do you see government having the political will to prosecute them?
Under Buhari, some were arrested, kept in Kuje.
We are talking about this president.
Waiting now, I'm coming, I'm going somewhere. They were kept in Kuje prison. Along the line, there was an issue, and their principal spoke out from the forest, made some threats, and they are going to kidnap the president and all of that. And all of a sudden, we had Kuje attacked. Those guys were released again. And before the attack of Kuje, the military posts that were within the perimeter got an order for withdrawal. So they left the place of man for those guys to come in easily and go out. So these are things that points to the conspiracy that I'm talking about. And those behind it will know, they know what they are doing. You understand?
So what
and if they're saying, the quoting, I didn't hear him say it, but it's always attributed to him, the late General Abacha, that if insurgency lasts more than 24 hours, the government has a hand in it.
And let's also not forget that these leaders that were arrested were actually behind the 2022 Kuje prison break. But now, most importantly, or more importantly, looking at this security issue now, what do you think our security or military personnel should begin to do, or what show of force do you think they should, carry out show of force, especially in the northern region? Or what, because the first guest said, arresting 2 leaders is not enough for the NSA to come out and start announcing that is not the responsibility of the NSA, except it's politically inclined. What do you think the military should, how do you think they should start enforcing the arrest, the attack on these attackers, on these terrorists? Because let's also not forget, just last week we were talking about invasion in some communities in Kwara State, and it's very close to the southwest. We know Kwara is north central, but of course it's very close to the southwest, and we are talking about protecting citizens, residents of each state. How do you think our security military personnel should begin to show force in handling terrorism in Nigeria?
Show of force will be a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. They need an in-house house cleaning at the level of the military. Who are those saboteurs among them? Who are those leaking out their intels? Who are those they've mistakenly recruited into their ranks that are actually working for these terror organizations? Once they identify those ones, they flush them out, prosecute them properly. Then, those with similar tendency, or those who are also envying them, maybe wanting to join their ranks, will be afraid, and they will do what? Retreat. That is the first step to take. The second step will be to change the mandates given to those guys on the field. For now, they are operating a containment strategy. Don't attack them until they attack you. And sometimes they will attack them, they will want to attack, they will say, no, don't worry, just leave the place. Now, these are confirmed information that we get from those that are actually on the field. You know, war. Somebody described it as old men talking and young men dying. You understand? The generals will be in the office and the command base. It is the young guys that are actually getting the hits of the bullets. And they will be they are the ones that are actually determining who dies and who gets to live, which is not good enough. So, among these people, the NSA has the capacity to order some overhaul. The Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, all these ones, if they are actually with the government and they want to put an end to these things, they know what to do. As far as the military is concerned, I don't have any other advice to give to them. They know exactly what to do. It now depends on the political will to do those things. We have some high, powerful politicians that also are influential. Or some of them have passed through the military, and perhaps they are the ones responsible for the recruitment of the people that are holding offices now.
But why should we be talking about political will, looking at security situation when people are being killed?
The president, for instance, holds the title of GCFR, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, meaning that every other military answers to him. And now, by power of delegation, he has appointed the National Security Advisor to coordinate every other security officers. He is the one that appoints all the service chiefs, as well as all the heads of all our security agencies. They all answer to him. The buck stops on his own table. He is the political head that we talk about. Now, if he is willing, he will give the marching order and enforce it. Meaning that he said, go this way, and the fellow did not go that way, he sacked the fellow the same day or the following day for not going. If he tells someone else to go, before he says, finish saying go, that one had gone and had carried out the operation. That is how to do. How many people has he sacked on that ground? That's what we mean by political will. It affected Buhari for 8 years. It shouldn't allow it to affect him too. When you give marching order and it's not carried out, whosoever fail or flounce your order should lose his job. We have enough people that can do this thing. And if you think the generals are compromised, retire all of them. Take the next generation and put them in office, promote them. Once they know what has happened to their superior, they will do the right thing, because it will show that that is a kind of show of force that is required, the political one, not the military one, that would help in solving this thing. Now, when you are doing that on one part, then you work with the governors, those that have the capacity to set up state policing, empower them to do so. Because crime is local. You cannot be looking at it. That's why before you begin to coordinate at the national level, the guys that have carried out the attack had escaped. But if you have local security forces on ground, all they need to do, they are familiar with the terrain. Those ones who secure the parameter earlier than you coordinating from Abuja. These are problems that we are facing. So when you have a well-coordinated security network within a domain, criminals will go away.
Now let's look at what government is currently doing, the continuous reorganization of the armed forces. Do you think that this will have a positive effect?
You know, insurgency is more of a policing thing. The reason why we have brought army into it is because of the nature of weapon that the guys are wielding. You understand? And the police also have tactical force. If we can expand the tactical squad of the police, they can do this job, because policing is different from the military operation. Military would do it in a way, what they have in their head is war, battle. That is what they have in there. And their main thing is to defend the territorial integrity of the nation against an external problem, external attack. But we are dealing with an internal problem, something like a guerrilla tactics. You understand? You need more of intelligence gathering to be able to solve that problem, because the forces you are dealing with are not putting on uniform. Even though these ones will come out in camouflage when they want to do their video, But they put up those things when they are not shooting any video, when they are not going off, when they are going to carry out attack. They will come out in multi. The only thing that will make you identify is the guns that they are carrying. So when you see all these things, and they live within the same neighborhood as the people they are attacking. So, but the intelligence is what would make you to be suspicious. You know, when they want to plan an operation, there are places that are potential training ground, public schools, an open ground, abandoned buildings. Intelligence will make you identify such structures, and of course, you begin to put those places on surveillance.
So you are canvassing for the establishment of a state police. I mean, you want it to start working now.
Look, we have needed that since 2020 or 2000. It's not something that we are supposed to not be talking about it again. And those are areas where the political will is in there. The same set of people blocking this police are the ones that this thing is happening in their
So why do you think they are blocking, I mean, the commencement of the program?
Perhaps because it would reduce their influence in some things that they...
Influence as how?
Look, politics determines everything in this country. And even this insurgency, some people are playing politics with human lives, which is rather unfortunate. You understand? Even the hype that we are getting is still political. Because, for instance, most of the media houses are owned by politicians. And the ones that are owned by the states are controlled by politicians. You understand? They determine the editorial brief. They determine what news to promote. To them, bad news sells. Good news doesn't sell. So they always hype these things. Now, it's a global thing. But when it comes to national security, national interest, there are ways that you manage the information that you don't project the country in bad light. For instance, I know for a fact, more people die in the US monthly than they die in Nigeria. Have you ever seen CNN or any other state promote it in a way? They would rather focus on that individual criminal. You understand? Not the government not working. So these are things that we can also be, because when we do all of this, we are only empowering those criminals and not the security forces. When it happened over there, the focus will be on that individual and how the security forces are going to all the places that they know he used to visit. They begin to publish the profile of that person. You understand?
So you are talking about developmental journalism.
Something like that. To really help the cause of the military. Because for now, the impression out there is that they are not doing enough. Do you understand?
Are they?
They are trying their best. I've told you the problem they have. Some people are holding their hands. Journalism would go by virtue of investigation to review.
I mean,
so those people they suspect to be holding, those things would make them to now be very careful. And in their application of cautions, it will help the cause of the military and the security forces. So that's way we know everybody is on the same page. We don't just leave. Security is not a military, a security affair thing. It involves everybody. For instance,